Lecture 7. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the Virtual University's course on Business and Technical Communication. In the previous lesson, we looked at defining objectives and appropriateness in business and technical communication. Today, we will talk about accuracy, clarity, conciseness, and coherence when writing for technical communication. In this lecture, we will talk about the characteristics of effective technical communication and also learn to recognize and cultivate the qualities of effective technical communication. Good technical communication is accurate, clear, concise, coherent, and appropriate. We've talked of appropriateness. Let's now look at the other qualities. In the prose of science and technology, these qualities are sometimes difficult to achieve, and not only do science and technology depend heavily on specialized concepts and terminologies, they also make use of numbers and graphics, and that's why it sometimes becomes difficult for scientific and technical writing to be concise and clear to a lot of people. Let's consider an example of technical writing where a lot of scientific terminology has been used. The flow of electrical current can induce the migration of impurities or other defects through the bulk of a solid. This process is called electromigration. In simple electromigration, the force on the defect is thought to have two components. The first component is the force created by direct interaction between the effective charge of the defect and the electric field that drives the current. The second component, called the wind force, is the force caused by the scattering of electrons at the defect. Now, this is a text taken from a scientific journal, and it's accurate in two ways. It is stylistically accurate in its precise use of language, and it's technically accurate in its use of specialized terms such as electromigration, charge, electric field, and scattering, whose meanings are based on the context of a technical discipline. Now, both kinds of accuracy of phrasing and accuracy of technical concept, are very important in technical and scientific and professional writing. This example that we just looked at is also clear because it is written in simple direct sentences. Even though it is heavily technical, the terminology is very technical, it's clear because the sentences are direct and they're simple. Although the technical context is specialized, the word order also is simple, it's restrained, the structure is easy to understand. So despite the technical realm of the topic, it's easy to understand. हालांकि ये बहुत टेक्निकल कॉन्सेप्ट्स हैं, टेक्निकल टर्म्स हैं, लेकिन फिर भी जो उस एग्जाम्पल में लिखा हुआ था, अगर उसको पढ़ा जाए तो उसको समझने में इतनी मुश्किल नहीं आती पढ़ने वाले को. Part of this clarity is achieved by the rhetorical device of defining a term, electromigration. अब जो ज़्यादा क्लैरिटी इस एग्जाम्पल में आई, जो ज़्यादा वाजे ये एग्जाम्पल हुआ, वो इस बात से भी हुआ कि इलेक्ट्रोमाइग्रेशन की जो टर्म थी उसको डिफाइन किया गया, और उसकी वजह से, क्योंकि शुरू में पढ़ने वाले को एक डेफिनेशन मिल गई कि ये टर्म है क्या, उसकी वजह से आगे जो पढ़ा था उसको समझने में भी आसानी हो गई. The example is concise in its use of a minimum number of words to express the basic idea of electromigration, and also it's not wordy, it does not digress from the point. बहुत ज़्यादा मुश्किल अल्फाज इस्तेमाल नहीं किए गए हैं. बहुत जहाँ एक इस लफ्ज़ से काम चल जाता है, वहाँ एक ही लफ्ज़ इस्तेमाल किया गया है. ये नहीं कि एक लफ्ज़ के बजाय 3-4 अल्फाज इस्तेमाल किए गए हों पढ़ने वाले को इम्प्रेस करने के लिए, क्योंकि उसकी वजह से फिर जो टेक्स्ट है वो कंफ्यूजिंग हो जाता है. The example is also coherent because it develops the subject matter in an easy to follow manner. There is a clear line of thinking. The sentences are linked together by words like this process, the first component, the second component. ये links हैं, the first, the second, this process. ये refer कर रहे हैं और चीज़ों को जो text के अंदर हैं, और इसलिए जो पढ़ने वाली की लाइन ऑफ थिंकिंग है वो टूटती नहीं है. जो एक सोच है वो उस टेक्स्ट के अंदर ही रहती है और ये पता रहता है कि किस चीज़ के बारे में बात हो रही है, क्योंकि क्लियर मार्कर्स हैं टेक्स्ट के अंदर. Finally, the example is also appropriate to its purpose because it's presenting a description of the process of electromigration. So the way it's written is appropriate because it's obviously meant for a scientific audience. The writer knows that the audience are educated readers of science, and they may not be experts in the field of nanotechnology, जिसके बारे में ये इलेक्ट्रोमाइग्रेशन की बात हो रही है, इसलिए लिखने वाले ने ज़रूरी समझा है कि इलेक्ट्रोमाइग्रेशन को डिस्क्राइब किया जाए, क्योंकि उसको ये पता है कि इन रीडर्स को, हालांकि ये साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी के एक्सपर्ट्स हैं, लेकिन इनको इस कॉन्सेप्ट के बारे में शायद ना पता हो, लेकिन बाकी फिर मजीद उसने जो टर्मिनोलॉजी इस्तेमाल की उस हर चीज़ को डिफाइन नहीं किया, क्योंकि उसको ये पता है कि मेरे ऑडियंस को इनकी समझ आ जाएगी. Now, what is accuracy and why is it important? It's important that you cultivate accuracy in your writing, and it's the careful conforming of truth or facts, and it has three main aspects. There's document accuracy, there's stylistic accuracy, and there's technical accuracy. अब ये देखते हैं कि ये तीनों accuracies का मतलब क्या है और ये क्यों ज़रूरी हैं. Document accuracy, stylistic accuracy, technical accuracy. डॉक्यूमेंट एक्यूरेसी आखिर क्या है और इसकी ज़रूरत क्या है एक डॉक्यूमेंट के अंदर. इट रेफर्स टू द प्रॉपर कवरेज ऑफ योर टॉपिक्स इन अप्रोप्रिएट डिटेल. जो भी आपका डॉक्यूमेंट में टॉपिक है उसमें कितनी डिटेल है, उसको आपने कितना कवर किया हुआ है, डिटेल बहुत ज़्यादा तो नहीं है, बहुत कम तो नहीं है, और एक्यूरेसी कितनी है, कितनी सच्चाई है उस डॉक्यूमेंट में. ऑफन एन एक्यूरेट डॉक्यूमेंट नीड्स टू फोकस क्लियरली ऑन अ प्रॉब्लम. Document accuracy is generally cultivated by a clear problem statement and by preliminary outline. ज़्यादातर वक्त document accuracy तभी आती है एक document में जब जो भी problem हो वो clearly बताई जाए document में, और एक शुरू में एक उस जो भी लिखा हो, जो भी document हो, उसकी outline भी दी जाए, तभी वो document में फिर accuracy का जो है वो बढ़ जाता है. These writing tools help you focus your writing efforts by reducing your data in a way that solves a theoretical or practical problem. So, because these are basically tools that you have, if you have a problem statement or if you have a preliminary outline, these are tools that will help you as a writer identify your goals better, that will help you as a writer make sure that your document is accurate, and they also serve as a kind of a check for you so that you do not digress from your point. आप जो आपके नुक्ते हैं आप उस तक ही रहें, आप इधर उधर कोई और बात अगर करने लगेंगे तो आप जब अपनी प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट और आउटलाइन देखेंगे तो आपको अंदाज़ा हो जाएगा कि हम जो हैं वो हम पॉइंट से हट रहे हैं. Now, what is stylistic accuracy and why is this important? Stylistic accuracy concerns the careful use of language to express meaning. Accurate language requires the careful use of paragraph and sentence structure and word choice to describe and analyze your topics effectively. Whatever paragraph structure, word choice, sentence structure you're using will affect how effectively you express what you want to say. So that then is stylistic accuracy. अगर आप अपने पैराग्राफ को कुछ इस तरह स्ट्रक्चर करेंगे कि पढ़ने वाले को चीज़ क्लियर ना हो, या जो आप कहना चाह रहे हो वो पैगाम ना पहुंचे लेकिन कोई और पैगाम पहुंचे, तो फिर वो डॉक्यूमेंट जो है उसकी एक्यूरेसी कम हो जाएगी, क्योंकि पढ़ने वाले को कुछ और मैसेज मिलेगा और आप कोई और मैसेज देना चाह रहे हैं सिर्फ इसलिए कि आपने जो अपने पैराग्राफ को स्ट्रक्चर इस तरह किया या जो आपने अल्फाज इस्तेमाल किए हैं वो कोई मिसअंडरस्टैंडिंग क्रिएट कर रहे हैं. तो फिर जाहिर है जहाँ मिसअंडरस्टैंडिंग होगी वहाँ आपकी एक्यूरेसी कम हो जाती है. As a writer, you gain command of accuracy by studying the elements of style and by learning to apply these elements to your drafting, revising, editing and proofreading. जब आप पढ़ेंगे एक डॉक्यूमेंट को अपने दोबारा, या जब आप उसको बल्कि जब पहली बार भी जब आप उसको ड्राफ्ट करेंगे, अब आप उसके रफ अपने पॉइंट्स बनाएंगे, उसको रिवाइज करेंगे, एक बार दोबारा पढ़ेंगे, उसको एडिट करेंगे, दोबारा पढ़ने में जो भी चेंजेस आपने करने होंगे, और जब आप उसको प्रूफ रीड करेंगे, कुछ गलतियां ढूंढेंगे, तो तब आपकी एक्यूरेसी इन सारे पॉइंट्स की वजह से इन चारों स्टेप्स में ड्राफ्टिंग, रिवाइजिंग, एडिटिंग और प्रूफ रीडिंग के थ्रू आपकी जो एक्यूरेसी है वो आपके डॉक्यूमेंट में बढ़ जाएगी. एंड स्टाइलिस्टिक एक्यूरेसी ऑब्वियसली इज ऑल्सो अ मैटर ऑफ चूजिंग योर वर्ड्स प्रिसाइसली. जो लफ्ज़ बेहतर एक बात को समझा सके वो लफ्ज़ इस्तेमाल किया जाए, तो आपकी जो एक्यूरेसी है वो डॉक्यूमेंट की बढ़ेगी, और ये भी स्टाइलिस्टिक एक्यूरेसी में ही आती है. Now, what is technical accuracy? We've looked at document accuracy and stylistic accuracy. What is technical accuracy and why is that important in a document? Technical accuracy requires stylistic accuracy but is not based solely on it. एक टेक्निकल एक्यूरेसी का बहुत अहम हिस्सा स्टाइलिस्टिक एक्यूरेसी भी है, जिसके बारे में हमने भी बात की, लेकिन इसका यह मतलब नहीं है कि टेक्निकल एक्यूरेसी और स्टाइलिस्टिक एक्यूरेसी एक ही चीज हैं. दे आर टू डिफरेंट थिंग्स. Stylistic accuracy can be a part of technical accuracy but not the whole part. The effective document in science and technology must be grounded in a technically accurate understanding and representation of the subject. खास करके जब हम साइंटिफिक या टेक्नोलॉजिकल एक्सप्लेनेशंस या डिस्क्रिप्शंस देंगे तो हमारे जो भी डॉक्यूमेंट है उसमें जाहिर है कि टेक्निकली भी जो हम फैक्ट्स प्रेजेंट करें वो सही हों, दुरुस्त हों, क्योंकि वरना तो जो हम बात कह रहे हैं वो कहीं से कहीं पहुंच सकती है और उसकी जो पढ़ने वाले की समझ के हिसाब से भी कुछ गलत चीज़ वो समझ सकते हैं, और जो आप दिखाना चाह रहे हैं बिल्कुल आप कोई और चीज़ भी दिखा सकते हो. इसलिए बहुत ज़रूरी है कि जो भी आप टेक्निकल टर्म्स इस्तेमाल करें, जो भी आप टेक्निकल कॉन्सेप्ट्स यूज़ करें एक चीज़ को एक्सप्लेन करने के लिए, वो बिल्कुल वाज़े तौर पे हों और सही हों. Technical accuracy depends on the writer's conceptual mastery of the subject and its vocabulary, as well as on his or her ability to analyze and shape data with a minimum of distortion. Now, obviously, if you as a writer do not have are not a master at the concepts that you're presenting, if you do not know the concepts that you're presenting, then your document will not be technically accurate. तो इसलिए ज़रूरी है कि जो लिखने वाले हों उनको अपने सब्जेक्ट मैटर के ऊपर अबूर हो ताकि वो जो लिखें वो सही लिखें, और इसके अलावा तो वो अल्फाज इस्तेमाल करें वो भी सही हों, ताकि जो भी इंफॉर्मेशन आप दें उसमें मिनिमम डिस्टॉर्शन हो, मिनिमम गलती का चांस हो. एंड दिस इज़ वाई इन साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी देयर इज़ सो मच एम्फसिस given on mastering this technical aspect of subject development. जब subject develop करते हैं, कोई भी टॉपिक को आप डेवलप करते हैं, उसके बारे में लिखते हैं, इसके लिए बहुत ज़रूरी है कि टेक्निकल एक्यूरेसी हो ताकि कोई गलती का अंदेशा ना रहे. Now what about clarity? Why is clarity important in technical writing? Clarity, which refers to the ease of understanding, is a special problem in technical and professional writing, because a lot of the times people find it very difficult to be clear in what they're saying, and they either use too many words, or they use very long sentences, or the information has not been presented properly, and therefore it leads to misunderstanding. Specialized languages, mathematically described detailed analyses, and complex conceptual schemes can make technical subjects hard to grasp, even when prepared by skilled writers and read by expert readers, because in technical writing there is so much that is difficult to explain, and there is so much emphasis on the right language and presenting the concepts in a particular manner. If you vary from those, it becomes difficult for you as a writer to explain the concepts, and for the reader to understand as well, because of the complexity of what you might be explaining. And you can increase the clarity of your material by either using structural clarity or stylistic clarity and or contextual clarity. Generally, you would be striving for all of these, structural, stylistic as well as contextual clarity, to make your document more clear. Let's have a look at what these are. What is structural clarity and why is it important? At the level of the whole document, you can promote structural clarity, making it easy for the reader to get the large picture. So this is from the large part of the document. We're looking at the whole document and seeing how we can use structural clarity to make the general image of the whole document more easily accessible to the reader. You should use abstracts and other forecasting strategies, such as introductions that state the purpose and scope of the document, or table of contents, etc. And because these add to the structural clarity of the document. Basically, structural clarity का मतलब ये है कि जो document का structure है, उसको हम इस तरह improve करें कि पढ़ने वाले के लिए आसानी हो, जो उसकी जिस तरह हमने document को design किया हुआ है वो बेहतर हो, और उसमें हम ऐसे एलिमेंट्स डालें जिससे पढ़ने वाले को आसानी हो। फॉर एग्जांपल अगर टेबल ऑफ कंटेंट्स है तो वो देख के पढ़ने वाले को आसानी होती है पता करने में कि क्या चीज़ कहाँ लिखी हुई है, या अगर एब्स्ट्रैक्ट है या शुरू में एक इंट्रोडक्शन है तो वो ज़रा एक टूल्स मिल जाते हैं रीडर को। नाउ हाउ कैन यू प्रमोट, as I said, table of contents, problem statements, even strategic repetition promote structural clarity। बहुत बार ये होता है कि हम बहुत सी चीज़ें जानबूझ के रिपीट करते हैं। वैसे तो एक डॉक्यूमेंट में बेहतर है कि रेपिटेशन ना हो क्योंकि आपके रीडर्स बोर हो जाते हैं, लेकिन अगर आप रिपीट कर रहे हैं तो बहुत स्ट्रेटेजिकली रिपीट करें चीज़, और ऐसे पॉइंट्स पे करें जहां आपको लगता है कि इस चीज़ को एम्फोसाइज करना है, और ये चीज़ आपकी स्ट्रक्चरल क्लैरिटी जो है उसको बढ़ाती है। Graphs and tables, if they're effectively designed and effectively placed, help focus, and they also clarify information. They help the reader in focusing on particular information. They also help you as a writer in emphasizing particular information. तो जो अगर ऐसी information है जिसको आप emphasize करना चाह रहे हैं तो उसको आप tables या graphs में डालें और उससे आपके जो material है उसका focus बढ़ जाता है। Descriptive titles and frequent subject headings guide readers and they help them in keeping the larger picture in focus. तो जाहिर है आप बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं, लेकिन जहाँ ज़रूरी हो वहाँ टाइटल्स हेडिंग्स जो हैं वो बहुत हेल्प करती हैं एक डॉक्यूमेंट को पूरे को स्ट्रक्चर करने में। जाहिर है बहुत ज़्यादा अगर हेडिंग्स होंगी और हेडिंग्स के नीचे बहुत कम डिस्क्रिप्शन होगी तो वो बिल्कुल मुनासिब नहीं है। हेडिंग्स वहाँ होनी चाहिए जहाँ मुनासिब हो, ना ये कि खामा में हेडिंग्स डाली हुई हों। Now, what about stylistic clarity? Why is that important? Stylistic clarity is promoted by simple, direct language. And this simplicity in language is obtained with directly worded sentences. The sentences should be in direct speech. They should be addressed directly to the reader. And this simplicity then promotes stylistic clarity. The sentences should be simple, and they should not be overloaded with information or words so that clarity can be increased. Word choice is also a factor, in fact a very important factor in stylistic clarity. You should use simple language wherever possible and try to reduce abstract, highly specialized terms of science and technology, especially if you feel that the audience is not going to understand it. If you feel that the audience is expert and they can understand the scientific and technical language, then use simple words to counteract, to balance out the scientific and technical language. So having talked about structural clarity and stylistic clarity, let's have a look at contextual clarity and what we mean by that. Contextual clarity, in which the importance, authorization and implications of your work are made available, also contribute to ease of understanding. All work has a context and your readers want to understand what the context of your document is. जाहिर है आपका जो भी डॉक्यूमेंट है वो किसी कॉन्टेक्स्ट में लिखा गया है, किसी ने आपको कहा है लिखने को, उस या आप किसी एक कोई रीज़न है जिसकी वजह से आप वो डॉक्यूमेंट लिख रहे हैं, उस डॉक्यूमेंट को लिखने की कुछ इम्प्लिकेशंस भी होंगी, उसका कुछ रिजल्ट भी होगा। इसलिए ये सारी चीज़ें जो हैं ये बहुत ज़रूरी हैं कि आप समझें एज अ राइटर, ताकि आपके पढ़ने वालों को भी क्लियर हो कि आपने क्यों लिखा है, किस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में लिखा है, और आपके डॉक्यूमेंट जो है वो क्लियर हो। Things which contribute to contextual clarity are questions like what is prompting you to write, which basically means why are you writing? What is your purpose? What do you hope to achieve through this writing? Whose work has preceded your writing and whose work has influenced you? Was there any work done on this topic or this area before you which has influenced you? That is important, because then you will need to refer to that, or maybe you will assume that your readers know of that work. What is the organizational and intellectual context of your problem that you're writing about? Now you can achieve contextual clarity by answering all these questions in your introductions, problem statements, and in your citations and references, etc. You don't have to allude to them directly all the time, but you need to be clear about them and you need to make sure that they are somehow that your introductions and citations, etc., are somehow answering all these questions. You provide answers to these questions in introductions, problem statements, citations, and other references, but this doesn't mean that you need to write about them or you need to answer them directly all the time. A lot of the times you will just allude to them or you will just refer to them, but you need to be clear yourself what you're referring to, so that your purpose, what is prompting you to write, any work that has influenced you, and the context of your problem is clear to the reader as well. What about conciseness? Why do we consider that important when we're writing technical documents? Why is it important to learn the strategies of conciseness? Why does conciseness have such a special value in technical fields? Writers are often tempted to include everything that could be relevant to the subject or everything that they know in the document, rather than merely including things that are relevant to the communication task at hand. So a lot of the times, as writers, we are tempted that whatever we know, we should show our knowledge, and we try to include that. We forget that whatever we might know is not necessarily important for the communication task right now. हमें हमारा बहुत बार ये दिल होता है कि अगर हमें पता है तो किसी तरह ये इस डॉक्यूमेंट के अंदर आ जाए, हम इसको कहीं ना कहीं इसको बीच में फिक्ट कर लें ताकि हमारे पढ़ने वाले, एक तो ये बहुत बार ख्वाहिश होती थी कि हम हमारा जो डॉक्यूमेंट पढ़ रहे हैं वो इम्प्रेस हो जाएंगे कि हमें कितना आता है, लेकिन हम ये भूल जाते हैं कि वो शायद हमारे पढ़ने वाले को ये चीज़ इररेलेवेंट लगे और ये जो हम अभी एक डॉक्यूमेंट लिख रहे हैं उसमें इस चीज़ की कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है, ये इररेलेवेंट है हमारे रीडर के लिए, तो इसलिए बजाय इसके कि वो इम्प्रेस होगा, वो हमारा इम्प्रेशन और बुरा ही पड़ेगा. So therefore the concise document is a piece of writing that should convey only the material that is needed at that particular point. At the level of the whole document, conciseness is helped most by focus, the narrowing of document scope to a manageable problem and response. If you as a writer can find the focus of your problem, what it is about your particular topic that you want to write about, what is the problem that you want to target, and narrow the problem in its scope. Not talk about the problem in such a large context or large detail that it cannot be managed in one document. You need to narrow it down to a particular focus. That will help your document in being concise. Preparing a clear introduction and developing a detailed outline are two strategies that give you control over document length and scope. So if you've got a clear outline, point by point आपने एक outline बनाई हुई है अपने document में और आपने introduction शुरू में clear लिखा है, अपने objectives clearly उस introduction में define किए हैं, तो आपके लिए बहुत आसानी हो जाएगी अपने document को concise रखने में और point से ना हटें आप, ये आपके लिए बहुत आसान हो जाएगा. You also need to identify and eliminate material that is not necessary to support your claims. अगर आप अपने डॉक्यूमेंट में कोई ऐसी दलील दे रहे हैं या कोई ऐसी चीज़ वाजे कर रहे हैं जिसके लिए आपने एडिशनल इन्फॉर्मेशन दी है उसको चीज़ को वाजे करने के लिए, तो बहुत ज़रूरी है कि आप ये देखें कि जो आप एडिशनल इन्फॉर्मेशन दे रहे हैं अपने क्लेम को वाजे करने के लिए वो कितनी ज़रूरी है, वो कितनी रेलेवेंट है और कितनी डिटेल में उसकी ज़रूरत है. बहुत बार ये होता है कि आप लोग ज़्यादा एक्सप्लेनेशन दे देते हैं और इतनी ज़्यादा एक्सप्लेनेशन की ज़रूरत नहीं होती. So, इसलिए उसको अननेसेसरी मटेरियल को आपको, जो फालतू मटेरियल है उसको आपको हटाना होगा अपने डॉक्यूमेंट में से. ऑल्सो यू नीड टू लुक फॉर सेक्शंस इंक्लूडिंग अपेंडिसेस विच आर नॉट एसेंशियल टू योर वर्क. अगर आपके कोई भी सेक्शंस हैं, कोई चैप्टर्स हैं, पैराग्राफ्स हैं, अपेंडिक्स में आपने कोई इन्फॉर्मेशन डाली हुई है जो आपके काम के साथ इतनी काम में अपने आपके डॉक्यूमेंट में होना इतना ज़रूरी नहीं है, तो बेहतर है कि उसको हटा दिया जाए. अगर आपको एक बार भी लगे कि ये चीज़ शायद हमने एक्स्ट्रा लिख दी है तो उसको कम कर दें. ग्राफिक्स आर अ पावरफुल एड टू कंसाइसनेस because they cut down on words. They cut down on the amount of prose that is necessary to describe objects, to develop your arguments, to describe processes. They also help in summarizing data and in demonstrating relationships. So a lot of the time, if you want your document to be concise, then using graphs, tables, figures is a very good aid. They are very good tools. So you can use them to make your document concise, and rely less on prose. But obviously, you cannot use graphs to explain all kind of material. So you have to be selective in where you're using graphs and where you're using prose. And also you need to be careful that the graphics that you're using are actually suitable for the information that you are projecting. How would you make your document more concise? We've talked about graphs. Conciseness could also require careful revising. You would, once you've written your document, you need to revise it, you need to go over it once again, and you need to then see what changes need to be made. Maybe there's, as we talked about graphics, maybe there's text that needs to be replaced for graphs. You might not have thought of it in the first instance. You need to become familiar with the strategies for reducing wordiness. Look for ways of cutting useless words, sentences, sections from the document. If you feel that you're using too many words to explain one thing, cut that down. If you feel that there are too many sections which are irrelevant, or if they are sentences which are too long or irrelevant, you need to cut those down. Coherence is another factor which is very important in writing technical documents and professional documents. Coherence is the quality of hanging together, of your writing being together, being stuck together, so that it does not seem as if you are writing about different things, and it does not seem choppy, or it does not seem that you are taking jumps from one idea to another. It's basically providing the reader an easy path to follow. Writers promote coherence by making their material logically and stylistically consistent. जो भी आपके मटेरियल में इंफॉर्मेशन है, उसमें उसका जो मतलब है, जो लॉजिक है, वो साथ साथ आनी चाहिए. जो स्टाइलिस्टिक कंपोनेंट्स आप यूज कर रहे हैं, स्टाइल के कंपोनेंट्स जो आपकी राइटिंग में है, वो भी एक जैसे होने चाहिए. ये नहीं कि आपके एक पैराग्राफ में एक राइटिंग स्टाइल है, एक टोन है, और दूसरे पैराग्राफ में दूसरी टोन है. एक पैराग्राफ के शुरू में तो आप बहुत फॉर्मल थे, और बाय द एंड ऑफ द पैराग्राफ आप इनफॉर्मल हो गए, तो वो आपके स्टाइलिस्टिकली coherent nahi hoga paragraph. Coherence is also achieved by organizing and expressing ideas in specific manner, in specific patterns. When we talked about earlier, we talked about using a dividing and alternating pattern of comparison. Now, if you want your document to be coherent, then if you've chosen a dividing pattern, then you will stick to a dividing pattern. If you've chosen an alternating pattern, then you will stick to an alternative pattern for that document. ऐसे नहीं हो सकता कि आप ऑल्टरनेटिंग पैटर्न में 3 पॉइंट्स तो आप ऑल्टरनेटिंग पैटर्न में बताएं और फिर बाकी आप डिवाइडिंग पैटर्न पे आ जाएं. वो राइटर जो रीडर है वो उससे कंफ्यूज होगा. इसलिए कोहेरेंट डॉक्यूमेंट वो होगा कि कंसिस्टेंसी रहे थ्रू आउट आपके डॉक्यूमेंट में. एंड ऑल्सो एफर्ट्स टू एम्फसाइज द रिलेशनशिप्स अमंग द एलिमेंट्स ऑफ अ डॉक्यूमेंट स्ट्रेंथन इट्स इम्पैक्ट. जो भी रिलेशनशिप्स हैं डिफरेंट एलिमेंट्स में आपस में, एक डॉक्यूमेंट के डिफरेंट चैप्टर्स की आपस में जो रिलेशनशिप है, या डिफरेंट पैराग्राफ्स में आपस में जो रिलेशनशिप है, अगर आप एक एफर्ट करें कि वो रिलेशनशिप वाज़ेह हो, तो आपके डॉक्यूमेंट में जो कोहेरेंस है वो बढ़ जाएगी. इट ऑल्सो इंक्रीजेज द रीडर्स एबिलिटी to understand your topic because it has increased the flow of what you have written. It improves the readability of your material. Coherence is especially valued in technical communication and writing because of the inherent complexity of the subjects. For writing which is written for lay people, for people who have no expert knowledge, generally the topics are easy. But when writing is done for a technical audience, the concepts that need to be explained are more complicated, and therefore it is even more important that coherence is present in your writing, that your document is coherent, and you use all the strategies we talked about to achieve this coherence, so that because the text is heavy in terms of the content it has, at least if you are writing it in a coherent manner, then it serves as a tool for your audience to understand what you have written. At the level of the whole document, coherence helps to provide the larger picture in which the connections amongst the parts of a document are made clear to the audience by the writer. And it also helps the readers in the sense that it gives them a road map to help them anticipate the content of your work. A lot of the times in your writing, you refer forward to what you will be writing. आप पहले से इंडिकेट करते हैं कि अगले सेक्शन में या अगले पैराग्राफ में ये होगा, या आप वर्ड्स इस तरह के यूज करते हैं जो, या जुमले ऐसे लिखते हैं कि वो पढ़ने वाले को अंदाजा हो जाता है कि जो अगला जुमला है या अगला पैराग्राफ है उसमें इस किस्म की बात की जाएगी. तो ये फिर आप अपने ऑडियंस को एक मैप दिखा रहे हैं, एक रोड मैप उनके लिए बना रहे हैं जिससे उनको पढ़ने में आसानी होती है. Abstracts, clear titles, introductions, problem statements all promote coherence by linking various parts of a piece of writing. इन सब की वजह से abstract हो गया, clear titles आपके हो गया, या आपने शुरू में introduction डाला हो, या problem statement आपने clearly state की हो, इन सब की वजह से आपके जो document है उसकी coherence बढ़ती है, क्योंकि ये आपके जो document है उसकी उसके different parts की आपस में relationship clear करते हैं और उनको एक link provide करते हैं. The paragraph, however, is one of the most powerful instruments of coherence. ये so सारे मैंने बातें जो सारे एरियाज पहले बताए वो भी इम्पोर्टेंट हैं बहुत कोहेरेंस में, लेकिन सबसे ज़्यादा जो आपको एम्फसाइज करना है जिस चीज़ पे, वो आपकी पैराग्राफ कंस्ट्रक्शन और पैराग्राफ स्ट्रक्चर है. क्योंकि अगर वो आपका कोहेरेंट ना हुआ, या अगर वो आपका टाइटली नेट नहीं होगा, तो आपके डॉक्यूमेंट में कितनी भी हेडिंग्स हों, एब्स्ट्रैक्ट हो, प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट्स लिखी हुई हों, कंटेंट्स का टेबल हो, कुछ भी हो, अगर आपके पैराग्राफ्स अच्छे नहीं हैं तो आपका जो डॉक्यूमेंट है वो कोहेरेंट नहीं होगा. एंड बाय ऑर्गेनाइजिंग मटीरियल इनटू अ टॉपिक सेंटेंस in a paragraph and then in supporting sentences, you are pulling the paragraph material together. So it's important to make sure that every paragraph has a topic sentence, and those topic sentences are then supported by the supporting sentences, and so that the various forms of the concepts are developed properly. So ज़रूरी है कि जो आपका पैराग्राफ है उसमें एक सेंटेंस जो जनरली शुरू का सेंटेंस होता है, जिसको हम टॉपिक सेंटेंस कहते हैं, वो ज़रूर हो, क्योंकि उस टॉपिक सेंटेंस से हमें पढ़ने वाले को ये पता चलता है कि इस पैराग्राफ में क्या बात की जाएगी, और उससे आपको भी पता चलता है कि आपने इस पैराग्राफ में अपने आप को किस बात तक महदूद रखना है. इस टॉपिक सेंटेंस से ये भी होता है कि जो भी आपके कॉन्सेप्ट्स हैं वो क्लियर हो जाते हैं कि इस पैराग्राफ में क्या बात होनी है, और फिर जो सपोर्टिंग सेंटेंसेस हैं, जो पैराग्राफ में बाकी के सेंटेंसेस हैं मजीद, वो सब इस टॉपिक सेंटेंस से रिलेटेड होते हैं. Paragraph development is achieved partly through the specific strategies of exemplification, analysis, comparison and contrast, definition, enumeration and description. जो पैराग्राफ्स होते हैं वो ज़्यादातर यही 6 पैटर्न्स को फॉलो करते हैं. या एक पैराग्राफ में एग्जाम्प्लिफिकेशन होती है जिसमें एग्जाम्पल्स इस्तेमाल किए हुए होते हैं, या एनालिसिस होता है, कोई चीज़ एनालाइज हुई होती है, या कंपैरिजन एंड कॉन्ट्रास्ट होता है, या कोई चीज़ डिफाइन की गई होती है, या एन्यूमरेशन पॉइंट बाय पॉइंट किसी चीज़ की डिस्क्रिप्शन दी होती है, या जनरल डिस्क्रिप्शन एक दी होती है, पॉइंट बाय पॉइंट नहीं, लेकिन वैसे ओवरऑल कोई प्रोसेस या कोई चीज़ डिस्क्राइब की गई होती है. ऑल ऑफ दीज furnish distinct approaches to developing ideas. Now you as a writer can decide which way of developing a paragraph you wish to use for a particular paragraph. ज़रूरी नहीं है ये कि हर एक डॉक्यूमेंट में सारे पैराग्राफ्स एक ही तरह डेवलप हों, बल्कि हरगिज़ नहीं. पैराग्राफ्स फ़र्क तरीके से डेवलप होंगे, और ये चीज़ उस बात पे मुनहसर होगी कि हर पैराग्राफ में क्या चीज़ आप दिखाना चाह रहे हैं और किस तरह उसको एक्सप्रेस करना चाह रहे हैं. So all paragraphs may have different patterns of development, and that pattern will be determined by the content that goes in the paragraph. Transitional devices also operate at the paragraph level to provide links between sentences and between paragraphs. So although it's important for you to be clear in your mind what pattern of organization you're using for a paragraph, it's also very important that you use transitional devices so that in the sentences within your paragraph there are very definite links, and also you need to use transitional devices between different paragraphs, ताकि एक पैराग्राफ जहाँ ख़त्म हो और दूसरा पैराग्राफ शुरू हो, उनमें आपस में कोई ट्रांजिशन आसान हो, कोई लिंक हो. ये नहीं कि एक पैराग्राफ ख़त्म हुआ दूसरा शुरू हुआ तो राइटर जो पढ़ने वाला है उसको समझ ही ना आई कि ये दूसरे पैराग्राफ का पहले पैराग्राफ से लिंक क्या है. तो इसलिए वो ट्रांजिशन जो है, जहाँ आप रीडर को एक आइडिया से दूसरे आइडिया पे लेके जा रहे हैं, वो ट्रांजिशन बहुत ज़रूरी है, और ताकि एक लिंक और फ्लो आपका बरकरार रहे. In terms of paragraph development, Writers use enumeration in paragraphs when they want to itemize a list, itemize or list a set of properties or topics or series of some kind. Enumeration is a powerful way to establish a series of observations and to emphasize each element. So there could be distinct elements that you will list and that you will emphasize by enumerating them in a paragraph. Let's have a look at what we mean when we talk about enumerating. In this paragraph that we're going to see now, the items are enumerated in a series of itemized recommendations. If you have instructions to have your blood cholesterol measured, if you've never had it done, finger prick tests at health fairs and other public places are generally fairly accurate, especially if they're offered by a hospital or other reputable health groups. When you know your number, follow these guidelines from the National Cholesterol Education Program. Now this is an introduction within a paragraph, and now comes the enumeration part. If your cholesterol is under 200, maintain a healthy lifestyle, including eating a low-fat diet, getting regular exercise, maintaining a healthy body weight, and not smoking, and get another test within 5 years. If your cholesterol is between 200 and 239, have a second test performed and average the results. If that number falls in the same range, and if you do have any form of cardiovascular disease, change your diet to improve your cholesterol. In addition, eliminate any other risk factors you have and get tested again in about 1 year. If your cholesterol is 240 or more, your physician should order a more detailed cholesterol analysis and recommend therapy based on the results. You should begin a cholesterol improving diet immediately. Now, if you see in this example, all these 3 points, if your cholesterol is under 200, between 200 and 239, if your cholesterol is 240 or more, all these 3 points are listed separately, and it makes it very clear to the reader that the writer is talking about 3 different scenarios. So instead of just talking about them generally, the writer has enumerated them, put them as separate points, talked about them in specific detail. There's a link because they're all talking about cholesterol. There's a link to the way they've been written as well. If you notice, the language is similar, the sentence patterns are similar, but the scenarios are different, obviously, because each scenario is talking about a different cholesterol level, but instructions are following the same pattern. Now, it's not necessary that enumeration patterns are always in bullet form. Enumerated paragraphs could also be in a paragraph form. You don't have to set them aside as bullets or numbers. You could enumerate things by saying firstly, secondly, thirdly, for example, or in the first place, in the second place, and that is also enumeration. Exemplification is used to clarify your topic statement, and generally exemplification would be used in as examples. In the paragraph that you're going to see, the topic sentence is supported in examples that illustrate, support, and clarify the main point. Vitamins and minerals can be added to enrich, replace nutrients lost in processing, or fortify, add nutrients not normally present, foods to improve their nutritional quality. Bread and cereals are usually enriched with some B vitamins and iron. Common examples of fortification include the addition of vitamin D to milk, vitamin A to margarine, vitamin C to fruit drinks, calcium to orange juice, and iodide to table salt. Now this, if you see, you can, the writer has given examples, the writer has clarified terminology like enrich by giving meanings of, by giving in brackets what he means. He's talked about fortify, given a very clear direct link to it, and then gone on to examples. He's exemplifying all that he's saying by giving you concrete terms, concrete examples that will relate to what he's trying to say, and that will support his topic statement that vitamins and minerals enrich and fortify foods to improve their nutritional quality. Comparison and contrast is used to develop a topic by examining its similarities or dissimilarities to another thing, similarities or dissimilarities of processes or states, etc. Comparison emphasizes the similarities and contrast emphasizes the differences. A paragraph may use both comparison and contrast. Let's have a look at an example where 2 kinds of electrical cable are compared. The aim here is to convey the superiority of A type over B type. for two categories of performance. The heading here is coaxial versus fiber optic cable. So obviously the heading is, it's clear from the title that there is some kind of a comparison or a contrast being done. And then after colon it says comparative cable length performances. So here obviously it's even more clear by the use of the word comparative that we are comparing the cable length performances. For a number of critical performance characteristics, fiber optic cable offers considerable advantage over standard coaxial cables. The most obvious distinction between the two is the great bandwidth distance capacity of fibers. The high frequency capacity of coaxial cables decreases rapidly with increased length, but the bandwidth of a commercial fiber optic system will remain constant with length. A commercial fiber optic system like that of RTEL remains constant for a bandwidth over a distance of 4,000 feet, while three different sizes of coaxial cable rapidly drop in less than half the distance. Now this, as you can see, is a paragraph where the two different types of cables have been compared to each other by looking at different aspects, different elements of the cables themselves. The different elements that are present are things like the length, the bandwidth, etc. And these have been compared from cable A to cable B, or the coaxial cable to the fiber optic cable. The use of transitional words and phrases greatly adds to the coherence of a piece of writing, and writers need to use transitional words and phrases to clarify and smooth the movement from idea to idea. And let's have a look at some examples. A paragraph which has weak transition would be something like, reducing drag in an aerospace vehicle is an important design consideration with financial and operational consequences. Poorly designed rocket fuselage can triple fuel and launch costs. Drag increases stress on key joints. This proposed project will develop a model to reduce aerodynamic drag on the RX100. Now let's have a look at the same paragraph but with better transitional devices, an improved version of the same paragraph. Reducing drag in an aerospace vehicle is an important design consideration. For example, poorly designed rocket fuselage can triple fuel and launch costs. Moreover, drag increases stress on key joints. Therefore, this proposed project will develop a model to reduce aerodynamic drag on the RX100. Now, as you see, words and phrases like for example, moreover, and therefore have provided better links between the sentences, and these are the transitional devices that have been used by the writer to make the writing more coherent. So with this, we come to the end of this lecture, lecture 7, where you learned the importance of accuracy, clarity, conciseness, and coherence. Until next time, Allah Hafiz.